G'day, Mike from Aussie Mike's Bees had another cutout, in this time in this little old building that's used as a local men's shed, and I got contacted by them, and over next to this window in this corner it looks like a bee colony's moved in there, and I'll take you outside and show you where they're coming and going. Now we're just outside the window now, so over in this corner is where their entrance is. I'll just pull that back and you can see a bit of activity. When I came out a couple of weeks ago there was a lot more activity, but they're definitely there. There was one with some pollen there. So we're inside here. You can see just next to the window to the right there a heat signature. That'll be the colony. But as I step back, look what you're seeing on the other cavities in between the studs. So I don't know if that's just the heat coming through from the wall outside. You know, the bit where the bees are, that's shaded on the outside. So I'm pretty sure that signature up in the top left there are the bees. And I'm not sure about what's going on with all these other ones. That's the sunny side, so I'm just hoping, even though the cavity above that's not, but that's a different wall material up there, so it could just be heat. Standard thing, my approach is I'm going to just cut this and pull the wall sheeting off. The managers of the building can fix it later, that's not my problem, I've just got to get the bees out. And so I'm going to work on that this morning, see what we find. I don't know about those other cavities yet, but when I pull that sheet off, I'll soon find out what I'm in for, and I'll show you too. Let's get into it. Taking the strip off, the cover strip with this sheet material, I left that in the corner, so I'm going to lift the corner off, the trim off the window a little bit and see if I can pop through there. I can hear the bees behind here. There's a bit of a gap there. I'm going to lift that out a bit and see what I get. Done a little bit of cutting of the wall lining. So let's see what's in there. I expect to see a bit of a spillage of bees out here, so we'll see exactly what we're in for. Beautiful. Pretty much what was shown on the infrared. It's a fairly new comb, so that's a this season swarm moved in. All that beautiful brood. Don't know how good that'll go banding up, but we'll see. At least they're not down deep. Looks like a secondary entrance hole there. And hopefully they're not in the other cavity. I'll have to pop that off and have a look there as well. Alright, so I'm just going to vacuum, look for the queen, and do everything as usual. Yeah, I just popped this little section here to have a look in there. Thankfully, no bees in there, so we're good. This one is the only colony we're dealing with. So I'll break out the vac and get started. Quick look for the queen here. There you go, a queen spotting video. No, I can't see it there, so I'll vacuum those up so they don't move off on me. Got them off that bit. Now to start with this one. Let's see if I can spot the queen. I imagine she's hiding in the back somewhere. I just got to go slowly and uncover what I can along the way. So what I'm going to do this time around, instead of putting all the cones in a cooler and take them home and rubber band them up, I'm going to do it on the spot this time. It's very new comb. I don't know how successful that'll be. Just look at the wall here. I'll put the offcut from where I cut the wall out in here so they don't fall down the cavity. So that can happen. Be wary that if you have that bit of cavity there, you can drop things in there and bees can fall down there and they become inaccessible. So I often put plastic in there or something like that, but let's improvise, and that'll make it, I'll fall out onto the floor and then I can get them out that way. So I've had a brief look for the queen. I've not spotted her yet, and she's not likely to be on the surface. But we'll see where I go when I start vacuuming them up, and keep an eye out. I'll certainly let you know if I find her. That's the first bit of comb. It was so soft that it just fell off before I could get a grip on it. And so now I'm working on the second one. I've vacuumed off the surface bees there, and you can see that beautiful layer of capped comb and some uncapped, capped brood I should say, and uncapped brood in there. And here's some honey stores up in the top corner, nectar around there. Not seeing so much pollen, but they're doing okay. Now the challenge with this soft wax is trying to get it in one piece so it just doesn't fall apart in my hands. I really don't know how well I'll go with it, but I'm going to try to get it in the frames anyway, because that's a beautiful lot of brood there. And what I'm planning to do is get them framed up with bees on them and have bees inside the box as well as the bees that I vacuum up. I've done it in the past and it's worked pretty well. And with this new rubber banding method that I talked about on the last cutout, where you diagonal these nice stretchy rubber bands, so I can just lay that down like that, and hopefully I'll be able to get that comb in there without it falling to bits. Sorry I couldn't show you that because it's a two-handed job and I don't have a tripod with me. This is the first one. It literally fell straight onto the frame. It's so soft. And I've left the bees on there, so I might be able to fit another bit next to it. It might not be worth the trouble, but I'm just going to see how I go gently and leave those bees on there, because I think that'll make them want to stay better and keep the brood in condition. So that's the plan. So I put that frame in the box, and now I've vacuumed off the next comb. So capped brood, uncapped brood. There's probably eggs in there, but I can't see. I looked out for the queen, still haven't spotted her. So I'm just going to keep going. My battery's getting a bit low, so I don't know how much more I'll be able to video of this. Of course, something to note here is the darker colour of the comb. So there's been a couple of generations of brood through this. So this should make it a bit more rigid to put into the frames. So I've got that one framed up, so we've got two frames here. Clustering around here, which I quite like. That's good. And I've just got, I think, one more comb. There might be a tiny comb behind this one. And this looks like an older one too, so I'll see how lucky I am getting that framed up too. Down to the last piece of comb here. I'm hoping I'll find the queen behind there. I just had a look on the outside to see whether she'd gone on the outside of the entrance hole, but no sign of her, and they're not even clustering around there at the moment. So they're being very well behaved so far. And then of course they get up on the glass. So that'll be the last ones that I vacuum off, and there's a possibility she's gone up there too. Anyway, I'll keep going. I'm still looking for the queen. I've got all the comb out. I used a bit of wax to block up their entrance hole, and I just steadily vacuum up clusters around the edges, hoping that I'll see the queen. Now I've got this one up on the window. There's a possibility she's up in amongst that somewhere, or it could be just bees clustering. I've still got some bees hanging around the hive here. There's a possibility she's on one of the brood combs that I put in there, or she might have got out the entrance hole before I got to her. So I'm just going to sort of get any bees that are going out by themselves. This one. And these. And just keep thinning the numbers until there's nothing left of that cluster. And hopefully while I'm doing that, I'll spot the queen and put her in a cage. Okay, all done. finished up. I've cleaned it all out, vacuumed all the bees off. Windows, got them all searched high and low. I could not find the queen, and I'm not seeing bees clustering around the exhaust vent on the bucket with the vacuum. I don't know where she got to. She might have escaped outside. I've been outside a couple of times and vacuumed up some bees from there too. Often I've found that the queen will go through the entrance hole and just sit on the outside waiting for her daughters to come to her, but I haven't seen her this time. I've put the box with the frames of brood in the car now, and I'm just about to pack up the vacuum and head back to the apiary at home and set them up straight away, and fingers crossed that they'll make it. We got that little men's shed cut out that I've just done. Some of them are in the box. The frames are already elastic banded up with that wonderful new technique. I've got the bees over in the bucket. It's a hot day here, so I'm not going to put them where I would normally because it's in full sun at the moment. So I'm just going to have them in the shade of the shed here for now. So they've got the cooler time to climb up into the box, and then once they're in, I can move them down with the rest of the bees. So on with it. It's not a big colony, nowhere near the size of that other one. Geez, I'm getting good at that. There you go, that's done. I got maybe 10 bees got out that time. So I'm going to leave them there for a few hours. It's now about 2 o'clock or so. Got some shade from the trees, which is great. I'll probably move them maybe 6 or 7 o'clock tonight. That's plenty of time for them to climb up. Then they can reorient in the morning. Don't know if I got that queen, like I said before. It's touch and go. I couldn't find her anywhere in the wall cavities. But them's a break sometimes. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. Mr. Ed seems to be a lot luckier than me, and Randy from 628 Dirt Rooster seems to consistently find them too. I'm lucky to get them maybe half the time. It's about 4 hours later. It's cooled down a lot, and I've had them sitting up at the shed. I've brought them down to where I'm about to place them. So I put the baseboard down just behind all of this. It's a tight spot. It's like a 3 metre plus drop over the edge of this concrete water tank, and I'm squeezed in next to the greenhouse here, so I'm running out of space to put these. So I'm going to do the transfer. I've got no idea how they've gone. We'll see how it turns out. There's a few bees on the vent of the bucket, so it makes me think there's still something going on inside. Hopefully they've been cool enough and they haven't suffered from the heat, and I'll be able to get them in and successful. And maybe the queen's in there, but I'll keep an eye out whether I need to give them a frame of eggs or brood, and they can make their own queen. Let's see how they go, eh? They were really nicely behaved bees through that whole cutout. Nobody tried to sting me. Well, let's see if they'll stay the same. Now, what I'm seeing is still quite a few bees in the bucket, but not masses. So I'm going to lift this off. Shake them there. And I'm just going to leave the bucket on the roof, and they can choose to go where they want. I'm not going to lift the lid to see how they look inside. I'll do that in a day or two and see how that pans out. It's always a little bit touch and go, whether they decide to stay or they abscond. I was going to say bugger off, but I wouldn't want to say that on video, would I? So sometimes they abscond, sometimes they stay and thrive. So I'm hoping that's what happens this time. I'll just have to leave them be, see what happens over the coming week or two, and I'll inspect them maybe down the track. I don't want to disturb them just yet, and see how it pans out. There's a bit of activity in yesterday's rescue, the one from the flower pot. We'll see how that one pans out as well. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, thumbs up, subscribe, press that the button for the little bell so you can hear about any new videos I'm putting out. Merry Christmas and happy holidays, Happy New Year, and let's hope for a wonderful 2022.